Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be serving up something kind of special. It's a deep dive into the world of English idioms, and it's all based on this collection of learning materials you've shared with us.
A pretty amazing collection, too.
It is. You've got a real appetite for these things.
Well, they're a feast for the mind. It's so interesting, how many of these idioms use everyday objects
Right.
and experiences to express these sometimes really complex ideas, especially from the kitchen. It's almost like our ancestors were cooking up wisdom along with their meals.
I love that. Cooking up wisdom. And it's so true. Take a recipe for disaster, for example. It's not just about things going wrong. It's about a predictable series of actions that are leading to a metaphorical kitchen explosion.
Yeah.
The sources even mention texting while driving.
Oh, yeah.
You can almost picture those ingredients combining in a disastrous way.
You can. It's that vivid imagery that makes these idioms just stick with us. And a recipe for disaster really emphasizes that it's not just bad luck. It's about making those choices that set you up for failure. Kind of like following a bad recipe.
Yeah.
Anyone who tries, it's likely to end up with that culinary catastrophe.
Exactly. Speaking of kitchens, too many cooks spoil the broth is another classic that I think really highlights the importance of coordination and clear roles.
Absolutely.
Have you ever been in a group project where everyone wants to lead?
Oh, God, all the time.
And the end result is just this confusing mess.
All the time.
Yeah.
It's like a soup that's been over-seasoned and stirred one too many times. It just loses all its flavor and becomes something way less than the sum of its parts. Too much input, I think, can sometimes lead to a lack of focus and direction, just like in a crowded kitchen.
Absolutely. Now, what about spilled beans? I feel like we've all had those moments where we accidentally let a secret slip out.
Oh, for sure.
Those oops moments that make you wish you could rewind time. It's like those beans scattering everywhere, impossible to gather back up.
That's it. And what's really interesting is that the origin of spill the beans is actually debated.
Oh, really?
Some believe it stems from ancient Greece, where voting was done with beans, and so if you spilled the beans, you were revealing the outcome. Talk about high stakes.
Wow, I had no idea. That adds a whole other layer to that idiom.
Yeah.
It's not just about revealing a secret.
Right.
It's about the potential consequences of careless talk and the inability to keep confidences.
And that sense of irreversibility, once the beans are spilled,
Yeah.
there's no going back. Makes you really think about the weight of our words and the impact that they can have.
Okay. These culinary idioms are definitely serving up some food for thought.
Lots of food for thought.
But let's move from the kitchen to situations where we might find ourselves taking on a bit too much.
Okay.
Bite off more than you can chew comes to mind.
Oh, yeah. That feeling of having a mouthful.
Yeah.
That's impossible to manage. But it's not just about overcommitting, though.
Yeah.
I think it ties into our fear of failure.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're afraid to admit we've taken on too much because we worry people will think less of us.
That's such a good point. It's like we're trying to prove something
Right.
to ourselves or others,
Yeah.
even when it's at the expense of our own well-being. And just like trying to chew too much can lead to choking.
Yeah.
Taking on too much can lead to burnout or failing to deliver on your commitments.
And that brings us to another one,
Yeah.
a cautionary idiom. Put all your eggs in one basket. The imagery here is so stark.
It is.
One wrong move,
Yeah.
and everything could be lost.
Mm-hmm.
It's a powerful reminder to diversify
Yeah.
and not put all your hopes into one single outcome.
This one definitely hits home, especially when it comes to things like investing,
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to risk your financial security on a single venture.
Right.
But it applies to other areas of life as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Time, energy, even relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about spreading out those resources and considering those backup plans.
Right?
It's like having a safety net
Right.
in case things don't go as planned.
Yeah.
It's a really valuable lesson in risk management, no matter what you're pursuing.
So true. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about idioms related to work and reward, starting with bring home the bacon.
Oh, yeah. This one paints such a vivid picture. The idea of literally bringing home the food
Yeah.
that sustains the family. It highlights that essential role of earning a living, providing for oneself and one's loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder who brings home the bacon in your own life.
Yeah.
And how have those roles maybe changed over time?
That's a really thought-provoking question. In many modern families, both partners might contribute to the household income.
Right.
Or maybe it's a single parent taking on the sole responsibility.
Right.
It really underscores how these idioms can evolve and adapt to reflect the changing dynamics of our lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes, even when we're diligently working to bring home the bacon,
Right.
we have to make those tough choices about priorities. That's where have bigger fish to fry comes in.
I love that one. It's about recognizing what truly deserves our focus and energy.
Yes.
Especially when we're juggling multiple demands. We can't always say yes to everything.
Right.
Sometimes we have to say no to those smaller fish to ensure we're giving our all to the bigger ones.
It's a balancing act, but it's so crucial for effectiveness in achieving those goals.
Yes.
It's like deciding which tasks to delegate.
Yeah.
Or which projects to put on hold to focus on what's really important.
Okay, we've explored some idioms that are cautionary, some that are thought-provoking, and now I'm curious to dive into some that offer really vivid descriptions.
Okay.
What about cook up a storm? It always makes me think of a bustling kitchen.
Yes.
Full of energy and activity.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't have to be literal cooking.
No, not at all.
It can be any activity done with gusto and enthusiasm.
Yes.
It's about that vibrant, dynamic atmosphere where creative energy is just flowing, whether it's a group of children playing boisterously or someone working passionately on a project.
It's that feeling of being fully engaged and in your element, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Like things are in full swing and there's that sense of excitement in the air.
Definitely. And that connection to creative energy is interesting.
Yeah.
It suggests that this storm is productive.
It is.
Even if it might seem a little chaotic from the outside.
Yeah.
Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have piece of cake, which is all about ease and simplicity.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love a piece of cake?
Exactly.
It's effortless to enjoy, just like some tasks are effortless to complete.
It's interesting how that idiom suggests not only ease, but also mastery.
Right.
It's not just that something is easy.
Yeah.
But that you've done it so many times, it's become second nature.
Yeah.
Think about tying your shoes.
Right.
A piece of cake for most adults, but a real challenge when you're a kid.
That's a great point.
It's like that feeling of confidence and competence when something just comes naturally to you.
And it can also be used to downplay a challenge, maybe to reassure someone or boost their morale.
Oh, totally.
Like, don't worry, this will be a piece of cake. It can be a way of offering encouragement and support.
Oh, for sure.
I love how these idioms can be used in so many different ways.
Yeah, they can.
Now, here's one that paints a less pleasant picture. Out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Yeah.
It perfectly captures that feeling of escaping one bad situation.
Yeah.
Only to land in a worse one.
Ooh, that's relatable.
Yeah.
It highlights the importance of thinking things through.
Yes.
And not making those hasty decisions, especially when you're trying to escape difficult circumstances.
Like quitting a job without having another one lined up.
Oh, yeah.
You might be free from the stress of that job, but you're now facing the uncertainty of unemployment.
Exactly.
Sometimes the fire can be even hotter than the frying pan you were trying to escape.
For sure. It's a reminder to plan ahead and consider the potential consequences of our actions.
Yeah.
Sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, but we've still got a whole pantry of idioms to explore.
Oh, there's so many more.
What do you say we take a quick break and come back for more?
Sounds delicious.
Yeah.
I'm eager to unpack the rest of these linguistic treats. Welcome back. Ready for some more idiomatic insights?
I'm all ears. And speaking of dishing out, the icing on the cake is a perfect way to describe those little extras that make a good situation even better. It's like getting a bonus on top of a good grade or finding an unexpected upgrade on vacation, you know?
Yeah.
It's that delightful surprise that elevates an experience from pleasant to truly memorable.
Those moments are like sprinkles of joy, aren't they?
They are.
And, icing wasn't always the word used for that sweet topping. It was originally called frosting, which is a bit more descriptive, don't you think?
I never knew that. Frosting does paint a more vivid picture, like a delicate layer of sweetness that transforms a plain cake into something special.
Yeah.
And speaking of transformations, cool as a cucumber comes to mind. It perfectly captures that ability to remain calm and collected under pressure.
It's such a refreshing image, isn't it? Like a cucumber's temperature stays cool even in the heat. It's the opposite of getting hot under the collar.
Right.
And what I find fascinating is how it suggests a deliberate effort to maintain composure.
Yeah.
It's not just about being naturally calm. It's about consciously choosing to stay cool, even when things get heated.
That's a great point. It's like having that inner thermostat that helps you regulate your emotions, especially in situations that might make others lose their cool.
Yeah.
I remember being so nervous before giving a presentation in college, but I tried to channel my inner cucumber, and it actually helped me stay focused.
There you go.
Okay.
You aced that presentation cool as a cucumber.
Exactly.
Now, on a slightly different note, cry over spilled milk is a classic reminder to let go of past mistakes. We've all had those spilled milk moments, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Those situations where we dwell on things we can't change.
I remember one time I was baking a cake for a friend's birthday, and I accidentally dropped the entire thing on the floor.
Oh, no.
I was so upset at first, but then I realized there was nothing I could do to fix it.
Yeah.
I just had to laugh it off and start over.
It's about recognizing that dwelling on the past is like trying to gather up spilled milk.
Right.
It's futile.
Yeah.
And sometimes those mishaps lead to even better outcomes.
Right.
Maybe you ended up making an even tastier cake the second time around.
Exactly. Sometimes those mistakes can be blessings in disguise.
Yeah.
And speaking of blessings, gravy train comes to mind. Those situations where things come easily and effortlessly, especially when it comes to making money.
Ah, yes, the dream of effortless rewards.
Right.
It's like finding a loophole in the system.
Yeah.
A shortcut to success.
But it makes you wonder, does true satisfaction come from those gravy train moments? Right.
Or is it more rewarding to achieve something through hard work and dedication?
That's a great question. I think there's a certain sense of pride and accomplishment that comes from overcoming challenges and putting in the effort.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, the idea of a gravy train is pretty tempting. Maybe it's about finding a balance, enjoying those moments of ease while still valuing the rewards that come from hard work.
I think you've hit the nail on the head.
So true. Now, shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about navigating those tricky social situations.
All right.
Have you ever noticed how some people try to butter someone up to get what they want?
Oh, all the time. It's like they're trying to sweet talk their way into a favor or special treatment, you know? That strategic use of flattery, compliments, and charm to try and win someone over.
It's interesting how this idiom highlights the manipulative aspect of flattery.
Yes.
It's not just about being nice. It's about using compliments as a tool to achieve a desired outcome. It makes you question the sincerity behind those sweet words, doesn't it? Sometimes it's hard to tell if someone's being genuinely kind or if they have an ulterior motive. And speaking of tricky situations, hot potato is a perfect way to describe those controversial topics that people tend to avoid.
Oh, yeah. It's such a vivid image, like that burning sensation when you're holding a hot potato and you just want to pass it off to someone else.
Right.
These hot potato topics can be anything from like divisive political issues to personal dilemmas that people just don't want to discuss.
It's like those conversations that have the potential to quickly escalate into arguments or uncomfortable silences. We've all been there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Trying to steer clear of those sensitive subjects that might ruffle some feathers.
It's all part of that delicate dance of social interaction, knowing when to engage and when to gracefully sidestep those potentially explosive topics.
Now, in a pickle is another idiom that perfectly captures that feeling of being stuck in a difficult situation.
Ooh, I love that one.
It's like that moment when you realize you've gotten yourself into a predicament and you're not quite sure how to get out.
Yeah.
It can be anything from losing your phone to getting lost in an unfamiliar city. Those moments where you just feel a sense of helplessness and uncertainty.
And it's often those unexpected situations that catch us off guard, isn't it?
It is.
Like you wouldn't intentionally climb into a pickle jar, but sometimes life throws us those curveballs that leave us feeling trapped and a bit sour.
It's those moments that test our problem-solving skills and our ability to stay calm under pressure.
Yeah.
Speaking of finding ourselves in unexpected situations, like 2 peas in a pod comes to mind.
Oh, yeah. A classic.
It's often used to describe those best friends who are inseparable and share a lot in common.
They're those kindred spirits who just get each other, finishing each other's sentences, and sharing a similar outlook on life. It's like finding your other half, that person who complements you perfectly.
It is a special kind of connection. And speaking of finding what you're looking for, have your cake and eat it too, is a classic idiom that captures the dilemma of wanting it all.
Oh, for sure.
It's that desire to have the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
To enjoy the possession of something while also reaping the benefits of using it up. It's like wanting to keep a beautiful cake intact, admiring its perfection, while also wanting to savor its deliciousness.
It is a conundrum, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it reminds us that we can't always have everything we want.
Right.
Sometimes we have to make choices, prioritize our desires, and accept that certain things are mutually exclusive.
It's about finding that balance between indulgence and responsibility, between holding on to something precious and letting go to experience its full potential.
Now, make mincemeat of is an idiom that's a bit more assertive.
Oh, yeah.
It's about achieving a decisive victory, often with a touch of aggression. It's like completely dismantling something, leaving it in tiny, unrecognizable pieces.
It's a powerful image of dominance and control, isn't it?
It is.
Like a skilled chef effortlessly chopping and dicing ingredients, leaving no doubt about their mastery.
Right.
Or a sports team just crushing their opponents, leaving them utterly defeated.
It makes me think of those moments in life when we rise to the occasion and overcome obstacles with confidence and determination.
Exactly. It's about tapping into our inner strength and showing the world what we're capable of.
Speaking of admirable qualities, salt of the earth is a beautiful way to describe those genuinely good-hearted individuals who make the world a better place.
Oh, I love that.
They're those kind, honest, and compassionate people who are always there for others, offering a helping hand and a listening ear.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the bedrock of a community, providing stability and support.
They're the ones who inspire us to be better versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
And remind us that true wealth lies in character and integrity, not material possessions. Now, on a slightly different note,
Okay.
on a silver platter, describes those situations where things are handed to us effortlessly.
It's like having everything laid out for you without having to lift a finger.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the role of privilege and luck in achieving success. Some people seem to have it all handed to them on a silver platter, while others have to work tirelessly for every opportunity.
It's a reminder that life isn't always fair.
Yeah.
But it also underscores the importance of gratitude and recognizing the value of both hard work and effortless blessings.
So true. Now, as we savor the last bite of this idiomatic feast, sweeten the deal is a perfect way to describe those extra incentives that make an offer irresistible.
It's about understanding the art of persuasion.
Right.
And knowing how to appeal to someone's desires and motivations.
Yeah.
It's like adding that extra dollop of whipped cream or a sprinkle of cinnamon that transforms a simple dessert into an irresistible treat.
It's those little extras that can tip the scales and make all the difference.
Right.
Whether it's in a business negotiation or a personal favor.
It's about understanding what motivates people and knowing how to present an offer in a way that's hard to refuse.
We've covered so many delightful idioms.
We have.
But there's one more we need to discuss. It's a classic that perfectly encapsulates the idea of calling out hypocrisy.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
Ready for the grand finale?
Bring it on. I'm eager to hear what linguistic gem awaits us.
Okay, so let's unveil that final idiom. It's the pot calling the kettle black.
Ah, a classic. It's like that scenario where a pot, all blackened from cooking over a fire, accuses a kettle of being dirty.
Right.
Which is absurd, considering they're both in the same boat.
It really highlights the irony and absurdity of hypocrisy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It exposes those who are quick to judge others for the same faults they possess, without even acknowledging their own shortcomings.
It's a good reminder that we should be mindful of our own actions and avoid pointing fingers at others for flaws we might share. It's all about cultivating self-awareness and recognizing that none of us are perfect.
Well said. We should all strive to be more like the kettle, accepting our imperfections with a bit of humor.
Right.
Now, to bring our deep dive to a simmer, let's consider the idiom that encapsulates this entire exploration. Boiled down to, it's all about getting to the heart of the matter, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yep.
It's about extracting that essential meaning from something complex, like summarizing a lengthy story or condensing a complicated idea into its core elements. It's about clarity, conciseness, and focusing on what truly matters.
So as we reflect on our journey through these fascinating idioms, what would you say this deep dive boils down to? What are the key takeaways that resonated most with you?
For me, it's a realization that idioms are more than just these colorful expressions. They offer us a glimpse into our shared human experiences, cultural perspectives, and even the evolution of language.
I couldn't agree more. They add so much depth and richness to our conversations. They allow us to express complex ideas in a way that's both memorable and relatable. It's been a real treat exploring these linguistic gems with you.
The pleasure was all mine. And remember, there's a whole world of idioms out there just waiting to be discovered.
Absolutely. So keep exploring, keep playing with language, and don't be afraid to sprinkle a few idioms into your everyday conversations.
Exactly.
And if you ever find yourself in a pickle, just remember, there's always an idiom to help you simmer down and see the lighter side of life.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Happy idioming.